Hi, my name is Therese Kovlek, and today we are going to be painting these cute little sandpipers. And I'm going to show you how I did this painting here. So things that you'll be needing is some Ranger ink, and I have an assortment of colors. I will leave those in the description box below. And then I'm just using a actually scrap piece of paper that I have. This is the craft plastic that I'm working on. And I had cut a bunch of them, cut them up, and so I've been using them here and there for little paintings or whatever. And then I pour my paints into a little palette tray. And this one here that I use is ceramic. I always keep my black separate, so this is in a little glass bowl. And then you're also going to want to have some 99% alcohol. And the one that I use comes in a container like this, and I just put it in my little bowl. And it has a little tint to it because I had cleaned my brush before I started the video. And last thing you'll need is a white gel pen. I like the Jelly Roll. I guess you could use whatever kind you like, or if you have one, use that. And I just use that for doing some highlights. So I'm just going to make sure my picture is centered here. I'm going to bring my camera down a little bit. Sorry, I don't normally do this. Moving my camera. So sorry about that. And I just want you to be able to see what I'm painting. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to work on the sky. And you can see this paper is a little crooked, no big deal. I'm just going to use it anyways. And when I'm painting the sky, I take and I use my fan brush. And of course, I always work on paper towels, and I use them over and over, so I do recommend using some of those. So I take some 99% alcohol and I put it in my bottle, and just up here for the sky, my kitties are helping me with their hair here. So I just take and just kind of rub that alcohol around. And I need my horizon line, which will be about right in here. And I know I want my clouds to go from here up. And I am working on wet, so my paper is wet. And my clouds don't have to be exactly the same. So we want it, the sun's going down, clouds are moving in. And I just dip into the alcohol and then dip into my ink. My ink is wet because I poured a little bit of alcohol on there. And I'm just letting the ink work for me. It's a lot more helpful when you just let it do what it wants to do. And I don't use a lot of ink, and so in turn it directs me in the right direction, and it just has a flowing type motion to it. Try not to overthink your painting when you're doing it. So we're going to make that the horizon line there. And I kind of like how these clouds are forming here. So I'm just going to leave them. It's not quite the same, but I'm going to leave them because I like it. And I'm going to go ahead and start working on the water down here. I'm wetting my whole page where I'm putting my water. And I'm just lightly dragging my brush across. I'm not pressing hard. You'll find the more you paint, the better you'll get. Take and paint the same picture a couple of times, 2-3 times. I'm going to go ahead and put a little more color up here because I'm watching it dry as I'm working on the other areas. Kind of a cloud formation there. And down below here is going to be our sandy beach. I'm just lightly dragging my brush over. I dip it into the alcohol first and then into the ink. And now I want to bring a little bit of that color down onto the beach. Just like if the sun reflected it down, because this would still be a little wet. The waves are coming in. Just pulling a little bit of that color in. So it doesn't have to be exact, but I kind of like that right there. Now you can go with a little darker ocean if you want. I'm going to darken it a tiny bit because I want to bring those waves in. And I do find it's best to keep working on a painting and not to stop and walk away. I just think that, number one, the ink works better. And number two, you stay in the moment and you have it in your head and you just watch it. You don't have to be fast, just take your time. So on the waves, I'm just taking a little alcohol, putting it on my fan brush. And taking my fan brush and pushing it up to make my waves. We don't have to have it real choppy. We can just do it simple. All right, so we got our clouds in our water, and we're going to put our little sandpipers in. So on my sandpipers, I don't know, I like to have fun with them. So we're going to put this little guy with his booty up in the air. And we'll give him a friend right about here. And then we'll give them one more friend to go along with them. And we'll put them about right here. So I only have a little bit of ink on my brush. A little bit goes a long way. And just kind of work in his head, then his back. And he doesn't have to be perfect. He's just visiting his friends. Come back and do him a tiny bit more here. And put some legs like he's coming into the bunch. And don't worry about his legs. We're going to do some shadowing with him, so we'll come back to that. We got to give this guy here some legs. We're just going to kind of cross his over. Now this is where I start using that black. I'm coming in and I'm using a little bit of brown and a little bit of black. Very little alcohol. And I'm not going to worry about that being too long because there's going to be a shadow there. Right. So we're going to take and turn the paper a little because it's easier for me to work that way. And we're going to just kind of bring his shadow in. You gotta remember the water would be coming up here, so it's gonna be kind of wiggly. Then we're gonna go ahead and take and pull out a little bit of that ink and get some white. Do this guy over here. And I find when you're doing this, what you're doing is you already have that color in there. So it's giving the highlights and the shading. Because you're leaving a little bit of ink, and you're kind of smudging it around. I wipe off my brush, go in, grab some alcohol, wipe it off a little. I think I want his tail to go up a little bit more. On Sandpipers, there's over, I think there's 22 in North America. So, you know, they don't all look alike. So it's fine that yours don't all look alike. I'm going to go in with a little bit brown in his head there. Just darken it a little. And his wings. And I'm going to add one more. Little guy right here kind of running in. Just kind of put him right here. And I don't do it super fast. I take my time. Just kind of figure out how I want my body. If you ever watch these little guys, they're so much fun to watch. They run back and forth with the waves. He's going to need some little legs. Just make sure your brush isn't too wet. Tap it on your paper towel. And he doesn't even have to be the same type of sandpiper. He could be a different type. Make them a tiny bit bigger. And we're going to bring out a little bit of that ink so that he has some accent colors. And he needs a little shadow underneath him. And I think we'll go ahead and work on those waves. Let me pull out a little more. When you're working on other parts of the picture, your eye can be taking in everything, and then you'll know if you want to come back to something and look at it. So I want to work on those waves now. And I'm just going to take my fan brush. I dipped it into the alcohol, dry it on a paper towel. And I'm just bringing a little bit over. I'm going to do some little tiny dots. when the waves are splashing up. When they splash up, there's all kinds of little dots splashing up into the air. And the water would come in just a little bit. It's going to come in and hit the shoreline. So I'm going to bring just a little more water in. Very little water on my alcohol on my brush, very little paint on my brush. Just wanted to bring in a little bit more there, so like that a little bit better. Then we're going to take our gel pen, and our gel pen will help us accent. So we're just going to come in and put a little bit of white. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just kind of bring in some white and give them a little bit of accenting. And then we're going to accent the waves a little bit too. So I'm just kind of touching some little dots where we were making our little splashes. Now, because I did make this painting a little bit lighter, the waves don't show up as much, so you can do it darker if you like. But I like this. Bring those waves. Waves kind of curl over. And the splashing. Curl these over a little. A little more splash. If you do too much accenting on your little birds, you always can go back and put a little color in with your ink. So on this one here, I'll show you. I just want to put a little more brown in his face there. And you wouldn't really see their eyes because they're so far away. We could give this guy a little eye there. Yeah, I guess I like it. So we'll just do a little more white on him. So again, it's your painting. You can do more or less. But But I think that there shows you kind of how I do mine. And I hope this video was helpful to you and that maybe it taught you a new technique. You can find more of my work on Facebook or Instagram under my name, Teresa Opaque. And I'm just going to put a towel under here so you can see it. And actually, let's see, how cute would that be in a picture frame? So, without putting it in the frame, that's what it would look like. This is some other ones that I've done. These ones here are more blue, but this is the one we created today. So again, my name is Teresa Opaque, and thank you for joining me. If you liked this video or it was helpful to you, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. That lets me know that you'd like to see more of my work. Thanks again, and happy painting. Have a great rest of your day. When I stopped the video, I forgot that I didn't add my birds. So I'm going to add those in real quick. Sorry about that. And I'll just show you how to do those real quickly. I have my black ink in a little glass jar. I'm dipping into my ink and kind of swirl my brush around a little bit. I do tap it off on the paper towel just because I want to make sure I don't have too much ink on my brush. Because I was talking so much, it dries quickly. And I'm just going to bring it in like a little V. And one more. And then if you like, you also can take your gel pen and just kind of highlight over top of them. But I think, well, we could give a little highlight just so I can show you what I was talking about. Want to make sure it's dry. And I just bring it like that. And so if you don't like it with the highlight and it's too much white for you, then you can just go back over it with the black or not put the white on at all. So we'll just kind of bring it over. And there we go. Also, when signing your name, it's totally up to you. Personally, I will probably sign right up in here, and I will sign it with a light blue gel pen, just so it just kind of blends in with the picture. So sorry about that. Just wanted to show you real quickly. So we put those birdies in there, and so you could see that. Thanks again for joining me, and have a great rest of your day.